This week, we're learning how to safely use an electric saw to make some gravity-defying arch experiments you can impress your friends with. Hi everyone, I'm Jen from TELUS World of Science Edmonton, and we're here for another Maker Monday. This is a place where every week we do another design challenge, or maybe we learn a new skill using things you can find just at home. Now don't forget that every week we randomly pick someone that tries out our challenge to win a prize. So take a picture and post it in the comments down below. This week's experiment is to do some engineering and make some arches. First, we need to build some arch blocks. And to do that, we're going to need some scrap pieces of wood, some sandpaper, a ruler or a measuring tape. You're also going to need a pencil. The last thing I'm going to recommend is a protractor. If you don't have one of these at home, you can just go online and print one off really easily. And a saw. Now, we're going to be using an electric saw today, but there are other options. So it is possible that maybe you have a jigsaw at home. This is definitely one you need to use with the help of a grown-up though. It's pretty heavy and needs extra hands to hold it. The other option is you could also use a handsaw. Same thing, this handsaw needs a lot of strength to push and pull it, so you might need a grown-up's help. Or this is another alternative that's smaller and safer and easier to use. All types of saw blades have a pointy, jagged edge that we have to be really careful not to touch because it's sharp. The other thing we're going to need is a pair of safety glasses to protect our eyes while we're using the saw. Don't forget that whenever you use a saw of any kind, you need permission, guidance, and supervision from a grown-up. So I'm going to ask Roger to help me out. Roger, can you be my helper today?
Sure.
Awesome! So we're going to be using a Moto saw today. It's a really great introductory level electric saw. So if you've never used an electric saw before, I definitely recommend trying one of these out. Let's see how it works. So in behind here, this is the blade. You can see the pointy edges. We have to be careful not to touch that part because it's really sharp. In the front here, these two bars, well, that's the safety guide. That's to keep our fingers from getting too close to the blade. Then this plastic part here, that's the shoe. And then we raise it just high enough so that it's going to keep our block of wood right underneath to guide it through. Now let's look underneath our saw. So underneath here, we have a dial that's going to control the speed. And then this button right here, well, that's the on-off switch. I think we've covered all of the safety that we need to now. Let's take a look at how we're going to make our arches. All right, so we're going to grab our scrap piece of wood first. So this is a leftover piece of 1.5 inch by 1/2 inch board. First, we need to decide what angle we want to cut our arch blocks at. I usually recommend somewhere between 5 degrees and 15 degrees. So let's go with somewhere in the middle at 10 degrees to start off with today. So we're going to need our handy dandy protractor, and let's get started. If I lay the board down on the protractor like this, I'll make a mark where the middle point is. Next, I can find where 10 degrees is and make a mark on the board. Then I'll use a ruler to connect the two marks with a straight line. Now we have to measure out 1 inch along the bottom of the block, starting at the mark we made for 10 degrees, and then we'll make a new mark. Then start at this mark and use the protractor to find 10 degrees across the board from this mark and make a new mark. You should now have something that looks like a trapezoid shape. The hardest part is over. Everything from here is going to be easy peasy. All right, it's time to cut out the lines we made using the Moto Saw.
Wait, Jen, don't forget your safety glasses.
Oh, thanks, Roger. You are the best reminderer. Before we turn on the saw, let's go over what we're going to do. So we're going to line up that line we drew with the blade of the saw, and then we're going to push down the shoe and the safety guide until it's right on top of the wood. I'm going to make sure that I have a firm grip on both sides, holding onto the wood, and as soon as I turn the button on, I'm going to push firmly but slowly as the blade cuts through the wood. If the blade slows down, you're probably pushing too hard. Ease up on how hard you are pushing, but keep the wood moving forward. What a great first couple of cuts, everybody. Good job, especially those of you that are doing this for the very first time. Doesn't it feel great to learn how to use the saw properly? 1 block down, 8 more to go. We're going to use the first block we made to trace out the rest of our 8 blocks. See? Easy peasy. All right, it's time to cut the rest. Make sure you still have your safety glasses on, and then let's go. And there we go. We have 9 blocks. It's now a good time to take a couple of minutes and maybe grab some sandpaper and sand away some of those rough edges to make sure we don't get any splinters.
Wow, these are so nice and smooth, Jen.
Thanks, Roger. I think we can go ahead and test them now. People have been making arches like this since ancient times. The keystone, or top center block, would carefully be inserted into the arch, while each side of it was being supported by scaffolding. With the keystone in place, the scaffolding could then be removed. If everything worked, the forces pushing down on the arch, like gravity, would turn into compression forces and then be spread and pushed outward at its base. We can see that happening with our own arch blocks. So you build up each side first. You may need a friend with this part because it's a little tricky. Voila! It might take a few tries, but look, we got it. No nails, no glue, just the forces of gravity and compression holding everything together.
I'm always down with gravity.
If you want to experiment a little bit more with your arches, you could try a different width of board, or you could try a different angle for your blocks. In fact, the number of blocks you need for a specific angle can be found using a really simple mathematical equation. Or you can just use this handy dandy chart we made. Here are some of the other arches I tried making. And then I also decided I wanted to try adding some paint to another one that I made over here. Doesn't it look nice and colorful? All right, it's time for you guys to make one of your own. In fact, if you do make one, we would love to see a picture of it. So when it's done, snap a picture, post it in the comments down below, and we will randomly select one to win an amazing prize from our Galaxy Gift Shop, sponsored by Apega. Thank you everyone for joining us in another Maker Monday here at TELUS World of Science Edmonton. I hope you had a great time making arches with us this week, and I hope that you can join us for another Maker Monday next week. Until then, remember to stay safe and stay curious.